I've been an administrator for the last 6 years, and I was extremely excited for an opportunity to become principal. I've had experience as a dean. I was really involved in the curriculum process when I was a science teacher at both Clementi High School in Chicago and Highland Park High School when I was there as a teacher. And so I moved from the dean's role to an assistant principal role, where I was able to get some experience doing some teacher evaluation, having kind of a more global impact on the school, and I really enjoyed that position while I was at Woodstock. So in just keeping my eyes peeled, I saw that a principalship opened here. It's close to my home. It was a great opportunity for me. I love the size of the school. In doing research about Antioch specifically, the Antioch community, the community component of its name really stuck out to me as something that I strongly value. And so I felt like it was a really good fit for both my skill sets, but also my passions and what I think education is all about. And so I threw my hat in the ring and lucky to come out and be offered the position, and I couldn't be more excited. I taught for 3 years at Roberto Clemente Community Academy in Chicago, and then I taught for 2 years at Highland Park prior to taking the dean's position at Highland Park.
So the transition from teaching to dean, what was that like?
It was interesting because I made it in the same building, and so you went from a teacher to kind of an administrator in the same building, and the people there are great. And it was a really positive experience. I was lucky to have a mentor who was the other dean that really took me under his wing and helped me navigate that transition relatively successfully. At least I like to think so. So he was really great in terms of helping me out, and what I did try to do is still stay connected to the students. I still coached for some years after I had moved on from the classroom, because that student connection is really important to me. So I appreciated the opportunity to move into the administrative role, and I appreciated the way that both the students and the staff embraced that transition with me. Originally from about 40 miles west of Chicago. I grew up there, and I moved to Michigan when I was the summer between my freshman and sophomore year of high school. So I went to finish 3 years of high school in Michigan, and then went to college up there as well. And then I moved back to Chicago after I graduated and took my first teaching job in CPS.
Cool.
My wife and I currently live right outside of Grays Lake in Haynesville, so we're just 9 miles down the road, which is really nice.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
How's the summer been going, just getting ready for school and all that?
It's been good. The summer's been really good. Unfortunately, we had a tragic loss of a student right at the end of June, and so I came in here and was able to meet with some people, and I was really proud of the coordinated response that we had as a staff. And so that kind of was a very unfortunate situation, but I was able to get in here, and I had already established some contacts with people, and so my transition here has been very smooth. People have been more than welcoming, and it was really nice to be able to make that transition so smoothly. My family has been extremely understanding. It's been a lot of late nights, but they're understanding, and we kind of try to save those weekends for ourselves and try to spend some day at a time. So I appreciate that, and everybody here has been bending over backwards to try to offer assistance, to try to get me out of here at night and tell me to go home. But it's been really smooth and really enjoy. I have 2 daughters. Kala is 3.5, and Bryn just turned 2 on July 7th.
Wow, that's a lot of work. Dad and principal and all that stuff. That's
yes,
a lot.
I have a very blessed. I'm very blessed with a phenomenal wife she stays home with our 2 daughters, and is extremely understanding of my career and really enjoys bringing the kids up here. She loves coming to sporting events and seeing the plays and the concerts and the bands and the performances. And so she was a former teacher, and so she gets schools, and I think that she really has kind of allowed me to go out and kind of spread my wings professionally, all the while knowing that I'm home and dedicated when I'm there as well.
Yeah, oh, that's great.
Good question. I said in my interview process, and I really believe the fact that all of education is predicated on relationships. And so my focus right out of the gate is to really build some strong relationships with both staff, students, and our community as a whole. I don't feel like I know the answers to education. I don't have the panacea that's going to come in here and fix the whole thing. And so what I want to do is be able to first listen. I want to spend a lot of time listening to people's perspectives, their ideas, their experiences, their thoughts, their feelings, their fears, and really determine how we move forward together, as opposed to coming in and saying this is the direction that we're going to go. I firmly believe that that's an important component of leadership. With that said, there's some things that I firmly believe in, and I think relationships is one. A commitment to collaboration is another. I really feel like that's how we will be able to better ourselves and increase our capacity to serve students. So I think a commitment to collaboration, along with those relationships, then start to impact our students in positive ways. When we see successes, I strongly feel that we need to celebrate them, and so I want to be able to find creative ways to celebrate and to recognize our students and our staff members throughout the course of the year. So those are kind of my overarching things, but I don't necessarily think that that means that we're going to come in here and do X, Y, and Z to get there. I do think that listening component, that relationship building component is important before we start having those conversations. The last 2 summers around here have turned technology on its ear in this building and in this district, and I think it's really going to afford our students and our staff members unique opportunities to engage with each other, to engage with information, and to find ways that students can really broaden their horizons and their experiences, skill sets as it comes to interacting with texts, looking up information, and really creating some authentic assessments for ways that kids can get involved. And so the technology piece here increases the communication that we have with our community, increases the communication that we have with our parents, and allows us to effectively communicate with students while they're sitting in front of us, but also in the evenings, at home. You know, I think that there's just some really creative ways to allow that communication, that collaboration to happen between our staff members and our students, but also between our students themselves. That's a good question, and I'll be completely honest. When I went to college, I went to Michigan. I originally thought that I knew it was either education or medicine. Okay. And I don't know how those are related, other than the fact that they're serving people. And I spent a lot of time at school doing all my prereqs for medical school in case that was the route that I wanted to go to. But I also got my bachelor's degree in education with a major in biology and a minor in chemistry. So I kept the doors to both open. What I did to try to navigate, what I wanted to do is I volunteered at first and then worked full-time at the hospital in Ann Arbor while I was going to school, and really got a sense of, is this something that I want to do? In addition to that, I was a volunteer wrestling coach at a local high school while I was in college, trying to dabble in the education and just really trying to figure out where I fit. Ultimately, where I landed was with wanting to be able to be in education and serve students and serve a community. And I'm very comfortable in that decision. So I went in with 2 ideas in mind, and I really feel like I vetted both and landed in education as a place where that's where my passions lie.
You've been doing some pretty hardcore multitasking for a while.
I've tried to get involved, and I've always believed that I want to take my passions and be able to pursue them. And so in order to do that, I think you need to put yourself out there and get yourself in the mix. And so, I was in school, I was trying to do a multitude of things just to get some experience. I think that was important, but also helped me figure out behind closed doors who I wanted to become. And those experiences really led me down the path that I've taken. Sure. Education it's fascinating for me to be a part of, but also to read about and stay invested in. I think that, with Common Core and really focusing on what students are doing and what students are able to do and what they're producing and trying to get them engaged in the classroom are some really positive steps. Mm-hmm. I think financially as a nation, education suffers a little bit, and that's sad to see from a perspective, I think, really of anybody, but somebody so passionate about kids and about schools. I think it's sad to see the state of schools. I spent some time in CPS, and that was an invaluable experience in terms of shaping who I am as a teacher and as a leader and as an educator, and just to see the battles that different places have to fight. getting to school is an issue, you know, and then once there, the resources that they have are sometimes come into question, and it's hard to see the disparity between, you know, places that seem to have the money and they have the teachers and places where students aren't really afforded the same experiences. And so fundamentally for me that's hard to come to terms with. I think the disparity between the gaps that we have in education, both economically but also test scores, I think the achievement gap that we see between students of different races is alarming and something that we need to try to tackle and have honest conversations about. I think the disparity that we see in test scores between students of different socioeconomic statuses is alarming and something that we need to really focus on. At this district, I'm excited to come into a place that really has worked hard to get themselves fiscally stable, and now we're starting to put money in places where it's really going to impact kids. The technology is a good example. And so from a global perspective, I think nationally there's some right things in terms of standards and the initiatives. I think people understand what we need to do to get kids to where we want them to be, college and career ready as they call it. But I think fundamentally it's hard to do in different areas. And I've always tried to work no matter where I am in a school to make the difference and to try to take that kind of bigger picture and put it into action. That's really what led me into leadership outside of the classroom, is to try to afford students, you know, some equity in how they're being educated and what kind of resources they have at their fingertips. I like to enjoy some time with my kids. You know, we try to get outside. They like being outside. We've traveled a little bit, not as extensively as I'm sure we would all like, but they really do. They like being outside. This summer's been a lot of me biking around with the two of them in the trailer behind me, trying to do picnics at different parks and things like that. So that's fun. My daughter, we're into sports. My wife, thankfully, is as big of a sports fan as I am, and my daughter is becoming, my older daughter, Kayla. We took her to a couple of football games. We have season tickets in Ann Arbor up at Michigan to see football. And so she went to 3 games with me last year, and at 3 years old, I mean, it was before she was 3, sat in the seat the whole time and just totally got into it and loved it. And so that's really cool that we get to share that together. And so this fall, I'm sure we'll make it up to Ann Arbor for some of the games and try to get rid of the tickets that we don't use, but utilize the ones that we have. And so that's something fun that we do kind of as a family, and as my daughters get older, they'll try to partner up, and hopefully they'll be into it as well. I will be forever grateful for the reception that I received coming to this community. I've met with some city officials, I've been to Lions Club meetings, Rotary meetings, I've met with students, I've met with parents, I've met with staff members, and I cannot be more excited about being here. Personally and professionally, but that it's highlighted by the fact that the reception has been so welcoming. I'm really excited to be in this community, and hopefully we'll be able to serve the students.